I'm here. Lerato is here.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Hi, I'm here as well.
Hi.
Okay. Um, so let me just start off by introducing myself and explaining why this webinar is taking place. Can I kindly ask that everyone switches off their mics so that we can avoid noise disruption during the whole discussion? Thank you. So I'm Malebo from the School of Chemical and Metallurgical Engineering, and on behalf of the ADU, VIDS, and the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment, I'd like to welcome you all to this special Women's Month webinar, which is about women and careers in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. I'll be joined by three lovely ladies who I'll have the distinct pleasure of introducing shortly. But before we begin, I'd like to just say that it is with a heavy heart that we celebrate this year's Women's Month. And we thought that this webinar would be a good idea because although women still face a lot of inequality and have their lives threatened on a daily basis, it's important for us to take a step back and still celebrate how far women have come in terms of their careers and in terms of taking a stand for what they believe in. So, as Maya Angelou once said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. So, our three speakers today are an embodiment of that saying. With that being said, I'd like to introduce all speakers all at once. And starting with our first speaker, who is Prof. Sello Ndlovu. Prof. Ndlovu is a professor of metallurgy at Wits University, and she holds the Saki Research Chair in Hydrometallurgy and Sustainable Development. Prof. Ndlovu is passionate about building capacity and providing knowledge to future leaders, and lives by the saying, "A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle." Prof. Ndlovu is also a loving mother and wife, and her other love is running. And she'll be able to tell us more about her journey and her road to success in a bit. Our second speaker is Lerato Shai, who is an applied development economist, certified coach, and founder of Morero. Her interests lie in applying econometric statistical methods and qualitative methods to address socioeconomic problems. Her source of joy as a coach derives from creating and holding women to unlock clarity, build confidence, and cultivate conviction in their chosen careers through Morero's offering. Outside of work, she is an avid runner, African feminist literature enthusiast, and is currently on a French fluency. And last but definitely not least is Nothando Magagula, who is a tech enthusiast and founder of Tech in Heels. Nothando holds qualifications and certifications within the big data, AI, and robotics space, and has a strong background in data sciences and analytics. She's passionate about the tech space and women empowerment, having founded her own foundation, which is dedicated to helping build a generation of young women who are well equipped for the fourth industrial revolution. Nothando's future plans are to continue to grow as a Black woman in tech and empower as many young girls as she can. She believes that when we unite as individuals with dreams, we become a nation with a vision to work towards. So, welcome, ladies. We're very honored to have you here today sharing your bits of wisdom. I'd like to hand over to Prof. Sello now to talk about her journey to success and what success means to her.
Thank you so much, Le, for that lovely introduction. I'm Sello. I don't know whether I can share a slide presentation, because I know that sometimes when you talk and people listen, people sometimes are visual learners. Well, it comes from my profession. I know that people are very visual. So I can just put up my slides if possible. I'm trying to see the screen share. I can't see it from my side though.
It will be, Prof, it will be at the top. It will be at the top right corner, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah, right. So I've seen it now. Yeah, it's my talk. So I thought, because I know that people like to see when they listen, so I just broke it down. It's just a few slides. It's not a lot of stuff. So my name is Selo. As it's already been said by by Malebo. My name is Selo. I'm a professor of metallurgical engineering from the School of Chemical and Metallurgical Engineering. My full name is actually Sefi Selo, but people usually struggle with that name. So my husband is the one actually who shortened it to Selo, and it has stuck since then. So I joined the University of the Witwatersrand in 2004 as a lecturer. I did my PhD in minerals engineering at Imperial College in London. And I spent my time there. I think I did that for about 4 years. I really loved my time there, but I didn't like the weather, so I didn't want to stay after I finished. And I decided to come back to Africa, where really my heart has been. I became a full professor at Wits in 2019, last year. I am probably one of the few women full professors in the Faculty of Engineering. So I work in the area of metallurgical engineering, specializing in extractive metallurgy, which deals with the extraction of metals from ores. I teach at both undergraduate and postgraduate level, and I deliver seminars across the whole African continent. I do research and consult in the mining and minerals industry, also in the metallurgical field. And I collaborate with researchers from other African countries, and then also Europe and Southern America. I've actually trained and graduated over 30 PhD and MSc students. Some of them are working in the industry, some of them are not working in the industry, some of them are working in academia, and some of them are not. I'm currently supervising about 15 MSc and 5 PhD students, and I published quite a lot, scientific journal papers, and wrote some books. I think, as it's already been said, that my favorite saying is that a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So for me, I really believe in passing knowledge to young people. I'm very passionate about what I do, my teaching, my research. I also love the fact that as a lecturer, I can design a course that can save the mining industry, that can benefit the students and also save the mining industry, something that is really going to be relevant to the industry, especially considering that South Africa gets a lot of its, is really, the mining industry is really the backbone of the South African economy. And when I look at some of the students that have passed through my hands, I really feel proud. Some of them are in industry, metallurgical and mineral mining industry. Some of them are not. Some of them are working in different fields. I've come across them that are even working in law. Some of them are working in banking. But for me, that is not an issue. For me, that is the power of learning, you know, because what we are as an academic institution, we just want to build capacity, not only for the industry at which we work in, but also for the other industry, because those other industries also serve to contribute to the country's economy. And I also, some people sometimes ask me that, why did you join academia? Why did you not become, you know, work in the industry, become a CEO or a manager of something else? So I always believe that, you know, instead of just managing one section in an industry, I contribute to the industry by providing the people that are going to work in that industry and ultimately manage the industry. So that is really my passion. My passion is really to build capacity and build intellectual capability for the industry, and actually the mining industry that contributes a lot to South Africa and the African continent as a whole. So some of my notable achievements, I think my journey, I'm sure that for all of us, especially for people of the Black background, our journeys are never really easy. I come from a family of about 7, and I really love my siblings. I see that some of them have even tuned in to listen today. I love all of them, and they've really been supportive of my career. And I think that is one of the achievements. I think some of the achievements that some of the things that I've achieved is probably because of their support. And we're not very rich as a family, but my parents really believed in the power of education, and they educated all of us, and all of us are doing very well in their own right. So in terms of my career, some of my achievements, in 2016, I was awarded a DSI NRI, which is the Department of Science and Innovation, and the National Research Foundation funded such research chair in hydrometallurgy and sustainable development, which is actually my area of research. And the idea of the chair is really to train and to do research, train and mentor students, and build capacity and intellectual capability for the mining industry, which I believe is what I've been doing, and I believe that I've really contributed significantly to the mining industry. In 2016, I was also elected as the first Black woman president of the Southern African Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, and that was actually, which is, the institute is about 125 years old. And they've only had, before me, they'd only had one woman president. I was the second woman president, and also the first Black woman president. So the organization looks after the interests of the mining sector professionals in Southern Africa. So we the organization caters for all the people that are working in the mining industry in Southern Africa, that is South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia, and the DRC, and even Tanzania. So all the mining professionals that are working in that field, most of them are affiliated to this organization. So it is really a big achievement for women to actually note that. I mean, it's not. I can't really say it's a big achievement for the industry, because it's disappointing to say that we've only had 2 women in that industry in 125 years. But it shows that there is some winds of change in that particular industry. For me, what does success mean, really? Success for me is really simple. It is about making a meaningful contribution to society in my field of work, and having a happy balance between my career and my personal life. That is what, to me, success means. If I can achieve what I want to achieve in my career and also be happy in my personal life, then for me, that is success. I'm a very family-oriented person. I value my family most, and I put them first in everything, in all the decisions that I do. They are the center of my gravity. So everything that I do is always around them. I also believe that success can only be achieved through mentorship and also family support. I really believe strongly in family support and networking, and they are all very essential to achieving your life goals. And as I said, family support has really played a significant role in me. All my siblings, my husband, even my kids, my parents, they've all played a significant role to where I am today, and I really thank them for that. Then the issue of us working in a male-dominated field, people sometimes ask me that they say to me, you have achieved so much in your career, how have you been able to do it? Because it's not very easy to work in the mining industry. And for me, really, the idea is that you need to find a mentor and a supporter and a champion for your career. I can't really say I had a mentor as such. I had supporters, people who supported me and championed me in my field. I didn't really have a mentor. I think I only had a mentor when I was at an associate professor level. I had somebody who mentored me and guided me until I became a full professor. But from the time I was at a lecturer level, I had mostly supporters and champions for my career. And I also believe that you need to be confident and have an I can do attitude, have a positive mindset. Don't doubt or question yourself too much. I mean, as women, we also tend to ask ourselves so many questions that, is this the right decision that I'm taking? Can I be able to do it? We doubt ourselves. We've got all these inner fears that we have in ourselves. And sometimes I say, don't doubt yourself. You can do it. Have a positive mindset. If you don't have the skills, then you are going to develop the skills as you go along. Most people, when they get into positions, they are actually not very good for that particular. They don't have the skills, but then sometimes they develop the skills and learn as they go on. And also be courageous, speak up and be heard and take risks. I remember when I was nominated to become South African, the president of SIMM, I was really scared because I was leading a council that was only made up of men. I was the only woman in the council. But I knew that, I mean, I needed to go in and also save my purpose and also try to make, to put in winds of change in the industry. Also be committed. I mean, whatever you do, you have to commit yourself to your task. You also have to have your career vision and also commit to the industry that you are working in. I believe in that particular commitment to the industry. Be able to communicate and also try to have some professional development in your line of work. So for me, I think these are the things that have helped me to survive and achieve what I've achieved in my field. And lastly, the advice that I'll give to young women is to say, you know, we are strong, you are resilient, and you have your dreams. You should not let any society or the society or the environment around you snuff out those dreams. You know, we all have got those dreams, and we don't want to, when we are dying, to say we could have achieved this, I could have achieved this. You should not let those dreams be taken away from you. Those dreams can be achieved with the right support and attitude. So that is what I would like to say. Thank you so much, Chair, for giving me this opportunity to talk.
Prof, I see we have some questions in the chat section. We can answer those at the end of all the talks. And Prof, you are proof that hard work and commitment really does pay off. And we'll pick your brain a little bit more in a sec, like after Lerato and Nothando have a chance to also talk about their journeys.
Oh.
Rato, you can share your journey with us, please.
I'm on mute. Sorry, I was on mute. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me as part of the panel. I'm very excited to be here and to be talking with you. I've decided that I'm gonna just share my story, so I haven't prepared any slides. So Maleb, if you just want to put the event poster up, if people want to just have something on their screens, but I'm going to just be having a conversation with you about my particular story. So as has already been mentioned in the very beautiful introduction that Malewo gave, I am an applied development economist and recently certified coach, focusing particularly on career coaching. And I'm the founder of an organization called Morero, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as well in my talk. I think the best place to start is to share that the story of my career is really a story about me being heavily obsessed with who I'm wanting to become over what I want to become or where in my career I want to land. I think that's been the guiding light in my story, is just a desire to put my energy towards how I want to be showing up in the world, and a deep concern for contributing towards meaningful contribution towards society and investing in myself to be able to contribute to the problems I really care about. So I think that's sort of just the overarching theme of my career, which is really a theme of my life, is that I've shaped and intentionally built my life to focus on really working on how do I want to show up in the world. And what that has bred, or what has come from that, is this hunger for learning and the willingness to unlearn when that is required and when the context sort of calls for a lot of shedding of your skin and unlearning things that you just, were conditioned in you, and just a lot of curiosity. So in the last few years, I've come into this awareness and acceptance really of that I'm not designed or built for a linear career path. And this will show up now as I tell you about my career. So my career has actually taken all these turns and shifts and different shapes and forms, which have been very exciting for me, but it's actually not yeah, it's not very linear or traditional in that sense. So it starts off with my decision to go to university to study actuarial science, and then quickly finding out that just because you get straight A's and you're good at maths doesn't mean you're going to like calculating insurance premiums and figuring out pension funds, etc. So I just found a huge disconnect between, I would say, my desire for development and yes, I am very analytical and that way inclined, but just that it didn't really speak to everything that really makes me who I am, and fell in love with economics when I was introduced or did a course in labor economics, which is where I've actually also specialized in terms of my area of economics. It's the economics of the labor market. And I think the goal there was really just how intricately linked labor economics is to the story of the country and the story of our liberation. And just, I think I just saw a real life sort of interaction with how have we as a country become who we are, and what is the story of labor in the liberation movement, and how was the labor movement or the labor market designed to discredit and to really work against Black people. So I think it just really spoke to this combining of a quantitative element with a social development desire. And that's why I ended up switching degrees midway and pursuing business science, focusing on economics. Graduated, found myself at very exhausted with academia at that stage, but also just feeling like, yeah, I think that curiosity, but just wanting to explore quite a lot outside of what I already knew. I had never left the country at that stage, and an opportunity presented itself to go work abroad. So I moved to Europe, and I worked for Daimler. Daimler is the parent company to Mercedes-Benz in their society and technology research group. So my role there was very much still around understanding South African society and China as well, just how that market can be served best by Daimler. And coming back, deciding then to pursue a master's in applied economics, specializing in econometrics, so the statistics part of it, but also labor economics. And then in that time, still very curious about what else is out there in the world. I just felt like I had a very narrow idea of what is possible, and economics is such a broad degree. You can really be an economist of so many disciplines. So I just wanted to take advantage of the fact that I can really go almost anywhere, and wanted to explore what is out there. So took up a role with Maersk. So Maersk is the global shipping company in the procurement division, very analytical role. So really still spoke to the kind of skills I felt at the time I was trying to harness. And again, like coming back to just who am I trying to become and what works and what's speaking to how I want to show up is really what drove some of those decisions. Was just, I want to explore. I want to see what else is out there. These roles are going to craft this particular aspect and this particular skill set. I'm in an international team, cultural intelligence, cultural diversity. I get to work with different people all over the world. So there was just also such an awareness of wanting to be very multifaceted in terms of how I approach my career. And then I think in that process, as part of just wanting to invest myself in problems I care about, part of that was also just coming into an awareness about what those problems actually are. And I think this exploratory phase and this curiosity and just following which skill set do I want to build and which environment is enabling for who I want to become, sort of made that clear. And I think ultimately I did decide that I really want to go put a lot of time and invested in the development space. So I turned down an offer with Maersk at the time to move to Denmark and work in the division there, and decided to go work in the nonprofit space, where I was working for an organization that is heavily involved in social protection. So social protection is really the overarching system of how a society takes care of the most vulnerable members that live in it. So did a lot of work around the social grant system in South Africa, and then transitioned out of that into consulting. And I consulted, and that's where I've spent the bulk of my years so far. I'm 30 at the moment, so the last 4 years I've been in public sector consulting. So a private company that does work for the state, and the biggest part of my role there was really contributing to building a capable state, like building the capacity of the state to deliver on the developmental objectives of the country. And I was primarily focused there on municipal finance, as well as monitoring and evaluation of programs that government runs and implements in the country. And yeah, so this is where I'm finding myself. I've recently resigned at the end of last year, and I found myself in a space again where I felt like I was at a crossroads, but very burnt out. Consulting can do that. Also very exhausted just with the labor market, and wanting to figure out what comes next, but feeling like I couldn't do it where I was at. So took the decision to save up some money and actually take a career sabbatical, a mini career sabbatical, let's rather say, because it was only 3 months. And just, I had a lot of, to be honest, at the time when I first decided, there was a lot of internal pressure around making that time productive. So a lot of questions like, so what do you do? Like, are you just going to do nothing? But I knew that what I needed was rest. I needed time out to just start the next stage. So I did decide that I was not going to fall into this capitalist conditioning of trying to make it be productive, like volunteer with UNICEF or something, and just decided what I actually want out of it is to rest. And I wanted to travel. I wanted to learn French. I'm really obsessed about the continent. I want to work broadly on the continent. And to do that, I am going to need to speak multiple languages. I speak a few already, but French is a key one on the continent. So I wanted to then use the time to just travel, rest, go live in French-speaking countries on the continent, and just try and get fluent in the language. And so I'm finding myself here now, having come back, and the fruits of that time, which was really transformative, has been a decision to continue on the path in terms of my role as an economist, to work independently for myself. So the overarching goal at the moment is to spend this time, or having come back, is I really want to craft a career that speaks authentically to all the different parts of who I am. And I'm someone that really is, I've said, I'm not someone who has this linear. I like to do different things in my 9 to 10, and I would do like very different things, but I can't. But I want to really put a solid attempt at crafting a career that really checks all of the different things I'm really interested about. So I'm now currently working for myself independently, consulting. I'm currently on a project with the presidency, providing support there on the country's response to the COVID-19 crisis. And that's on the applied research. So I split my time between the research and this company that I have founded. So Morero, as has already been explained, is an organization that creates and holds space for women to unlock clarity, build confidence, and cultivate conviction in their chosen careers. It was birthed 3 years ago out of my own. I was going through a very severe burnout at work and just feeling very disappointed with the labor market, the development sector, and just feeling like I came in very bright-eyed, bushy-tailed to come and play my role, make a difference, and just feeling like the South African labor market, particularly because of its history, can be very hostile to a Black woman wanting to just be excellent in what you're doing. Lots of various forms of oppressive systems that come at play and intersect to not create an enabling environment for change to happen. So I just found myself at that particular crossroad. And when talking to friends, I realized everyone was having, sorry, the same experience. So I just decided, why not all come together and let's experience this thing together and see if we can't all problem solve ourselves out of it. And that's where the career retreats that I host were birthed. And within a few weeks, I got some friends together, organized a program, and went away for a weekend with a bunch of my friends. And we went through a I'm very rigorous. Very rigorous program, so it's activities to try and navigate our career and navigate our current challenge with just the inadequacy of how the labor market's built to support us and respond to what we're trying to do. And so that was the story 3 years. And then coming back from this break and the sabbatical, I feel like I have a natural affinity for developing others, and I have a particular strength for this. And I wanted to now ground it in theory and rigor. So I enrolled to do training and get certified as a coach. And I've decided to particularly apply my coaching in the space of career and careers of women. That speaks very fundamentally to my feminist leanings. And I just really, the vision of Morero is a world where women daringly pursue their careers with clarity, confidence, and conviction. And conviction really being like, I want to live in that world. I want to live in a world where women really believe in their own magic and they chase the dreams that they want to achieve. And the women that I coach, because a big part of coaching is helping people to articulate what that vision is. And I want to live in that world. I want them to daringly pursue. I really wanted to ground that in actual training and a skill set that allows me to unlock that. And I do that through this organization that I founded. So it's very young, very exciting journey. I'm starting to explore my entrepreneurial side, and very exciting to be a part of that. So I think I'm going to stop there, and anything else that comes up, I'm happy to answer in the questions, and particular interests will the story speaks to you. I'm happy to answer those questions. Thanks, Malo.
Thank you. That was great. I think so many people need career guidance, and you just show that curiosity, like you should allow curiosity and passion to drive what you do in your life. Nothando, can you please share your view on success and your career journey?
Hi, everybody. As Malebo has said, my name is Nothando Makakula. So that's a tough act to follow. I hope that I'm able to fill in those shoes. But I am a data scientist by profession. So I've worked in the banking industry, technology industry, petrochemical industry, fulfilling roles in the data science and analytics, as well as big data engineering, software development. And basically, I co-founded Taking Hills Foundation. And what motivated me to actually start Taking Hills Foundation is that during my career, I've seen that there's a lot of gaps in terms of seeing different women fulfilling roles in tech. So for me, it was important to say that where does the problem lie? Is the problem lying in the fact that there's not enough women who actually want to pursue careers in tech? And I found that sometimes it's because there isn't actually enough tech role models, women tech role models. And that's what motivated me to actually start Taking Hills, which I am running with 3 amazing ladies. I'm actually giving them a shout out because I don't think that our vision as Taking Hills would be what Taking Hills is today without the 3 amazing ladies that I run it with. So for me, it was very important to understand that it's not only the fact that there aren't enough role models in tech, but what am I doing about it? So for Taking Hills, our aim was to actually inspire, inform, engage, as well as to empower young girls to actually find themselves in careers in tech where they will be able to have actual role models. And I like to say that for Taking Hills, it goes beyond just the tech initiatives, but we're looking at having a sisterhood, because that's what I felt that was important for our vision, to go beyond just having a tech boot camp and then that's it. But what was important is to how are we also imparting change in terms of their socioeconomic issues. So that's who I am. And my current role as I play is that I'm a data scientist in a technology company. And what my passion lies mostly in tech and mostly in women empowerment initiatives, because I feel that it's very important that once we have reached to the level of success that we have reached at, it's always best for us to pay it forward. What are we doing as the women who are currently in these spaces that we find ourselves in? What are we doing for the future generation that is to come? It's very easy for us to find ourselves being the first Black woman to do this or the first woman to do that, which is all great. But I think that only having a story that says you're the only woman who's doing this or you're the only woman in this particular department is not really doing a lot for paying it forward for women, because what more can be done to actually get others to find themselves in the spaces that we are in? So for me, when I saw the question, what do you define success as? I had to sit down a bit, because I always say that success is quite relative to each and every one of us. Success for me is not the same as success for you. But for me, success is always attributed to my purpose, my aim, and where I see myself going. If for me at the current stage that I'm at, and I'm not able to tie what I'm doing with my purpose, I will not see myself as successful. And for me, what is important is that being a woman in tech, for me, it's important to be able to lend a helping hand and to help bring about more women in tech. So if I'm in a particular role and I'm not able to actually pay that forward, I don't see myself as being successful. But I know that a lot of people attribute success into more monetary value. And for me, that's not how it is. It's seeing where I want to be. And if what I'm doing today doesn't remotely contribute to where I see myself and where I want to be, I will not necessarily deem myself as successful. So for me, success, it has to be measuring against where I see myself, what change I see myself making. And if what I'm doing today is propelling me to get there, then I can sit back and say, I need to go back to the drawing board. I'm not necessarily helping out in this aspect, or this is what I need to do. So for me, what's very important in my road to success is that I can help as many people as I can so that they too can be successful. The different factors have contributed into what led me to be who I am today. And my biggest thing that I can say attributed to my success is a lot of support from other females as well. I know sometimes we find ourselves, especially in the technology space, there's not many of us, but when we do find other females, whether it's somebody who's not necessarily in your direct stream, but somebody who's able to just help you career-wise and give you that advice, for me, that has helped me quite a lot, because there were times where I find myself in spaces where I'm not just the only woman, but I'm the only Black woman, and I'm the only young person as well. So I don't only deal with just being the only woman in the room, but I have to deal with factors that have to involve age. In some instances where you're someone's manager in that situation, and a person doesn't necessarily deem you to respect you, because sometimes it's the woman thing, it's the Black thing, it's the age thing. So for me, having other women in the industry who were able to help me and to create that sort of a bond where I'm able to get support there, for me, it was a very important in my career. And I'm very fortunate to be in a space where each and every day something is constantly happening. There's a lot of things that are changing in tech. So what has played a huge role as well is the fact that being in technology, you are able to learn a lot of your skills just by Googling something on YouTube and doing a course online. And I think that when I left varsity, the stuff that I find myself involved in today, I never necessarily thought that I would find myself in this particular space. And I think that's just the beauty of being in tech, is that it's so vast that you can find different areas that you can work in. For me, when I started off, and also given the nature of South Africa and our unemployment rate, when I was fresh off varsity, I accepted any job that I could get, because for me, what was important at that time was, okay, you've got bills, you need to pay for this, you need to pay for that. But I later then realized, when one of my mentors was like, you know what, you can't just accept any job and you can't just be doing anything, because yes, you want to find yourself paying your bills and saying that you have a job, but is anything that you're doing, you're just putting so many things on your CV, but nothing is really working you towards what you want to be. And that's where, for me, I took a pause and was like, you know what, I need to find my niche. Yes, technology is broad, but what do I want to find myself doing? Where is my passion in tech? And for me, that's where I found myself in data science and in data analytics, because for me, data is a huge area of passion for me. So that's where I saw that I can't just keep going and doing anything, but I need to sort of centralize and find my niche. And that's just the beauty of technology, is that even when you're on your road to recovery, on your road to finding what it is that you're actually interested in, all that information is very much readily available. It's a bit of a good and a bad side that South Africa is a little bit behind in terms of technology, because we get to see what is happening out there in the world, what is happening in China, what is happening in the USA. We're able to sort of have a foresight to see that, okay, this is what is currently happening in terms of technology. You can at least start from there, staying abreast to those type of things and finding how you can find yourself into that particular space. So that's what has actually helped me also in my career, is that keeping abreast with what is currently happening in technology, not just in South Africa, but across the world, because that helped me a lot to find my niche and to make myself have a bit of a competitive edge, because a lot of the times when things hit South Africa to say, oh, we're going into this particular technology, then a lot of people start wanting to learn that particular skill. But if you learn to stay abreast with all the things that are happening in your industry, as soon as they hit the particular environment that you're working in, you're able to be ahead of that particular situation. So for me, it was a lot of mentorship, and sometimes, yes, it might have been hard finding somebody who's directly in my stream of work, but I think just finding someone who can help you just navigate through your career is quite important. And for me, the challenges that I've had to overcome being in this male-dominated industry is that you learn very quickly on developing a thick skin. You learn very quickly that sometimes you need to use your voice. And I think this ties in with the advice that I can give a lot of young women who are looking into getting into the technology industry, or whether looking into just getting into these male-dominated industries, that using your voice is you're actually helping bring about some change. One of my hardest lessons that I found myself having to learn over and over is that sometimes people will treat you in a certain way, and especially as females, with what's currently happening in South Africa, that there's a lot of things that are deemed as sexual harassment, but we don't actually talk about it. And I think that what's important is that we need to call people out on certain things. And I think also, given the nature of in South Africa with the low unemployment rate, sometimes we are preconditioned to say, you know what, maybe I should just be grateful that I have a job. Maybe I should just be grateful that I'm able to pay my bills. But I think it goes beyond that, where sometimes we are preconditioned to be quiet about things. And for me, what I've realized in this male-dominated industry is that you need to use your voice a lot, because sometimes you can find yourself in situations where you took them lying down, and more women will come into that space and will have to endure that particular treatment that you have also endured. And sometimes you can tell yourself, you know what, I'm just going to look for another job. Maybe when I get to another job, this will change. But sometimes you find that that's the particular mentality that's there. And if we do not use our voices to actually call people out for certain things, other people genuinely do not know that that joke they said over the water cooler was actually sexist, you know. And sometimes it's putting yourself in a position to say, you know what, I need to actually call people out on this. I need to actually say something, because what you're doing by using your voice is that you're actually imparting about change. You're helping and paying it forward for the next people who need to come after you to say that in an environment like this can't be said. This is actually disrespectful, or this is actually not appropriate. So I think that what I can say is that in all my challenges that I found myself in, the main thing that I found myself learning is learning to have a voice. Learning to have a voice is very important, and that's what I can advise young women to have, is to use your voice. You might not think people can hear you, but give it a try and see what it actually does for you. So it's very important to have a voice. And another thing that I learned to understand when I'm overcoming my challenges is that letting my work actually do the talking. I think sometimes as women, we tend to be too shy to want to speak about our achievements, or be too shy to show that we're actually capable of doing things. And sometimes it's to our detriment, and sometimes it's not. So for me, I've always worked hard, and I'll always let my work do the talking, where sometimes the work goes beyond the gender inequalities. You know, when it's time to submit something, if you've done the work, you've done the work. And I think letting your work do the talking, that's very important. Having a voice is very important, as well as making sure to keep your eye on the prize. Focus on what actually matters to you. Yes, our workplace we spend a huge amount of time there. It's true, but we also need to understand that we need to keep our eye on the prize. For me, my eye on the prize is to make sure that I do my work, and that I'm in an environment that is conducive not only for me, but is conducive in terms of being a Black person, in terms of being a woman, in terms of being a young woman. So for me, that is what is very important. So I just want to share my screen so I can show you a little bit more about Taking Hills Foundation. Are you able to see my screen? All right, so Taking Hills Foundation, we have 4 key concepts that drive our initiatives. We aim to inspire, inform, engage, and empower. Through our inspiration, we want to inspire through mentorship programs where our girls are paired with a woman in industry who will assist them in aspects of life that may affect the girl child. That could be career-wise or social issues. In our Inform, we want to inform through seminars and events that will be held to share knowledge, skills transferring, and informing young girls on how to empower themselves within the 4th Industrial Revolution. In Engaging, we want to engage with the sisterhood of girls and women through one-on-one sessions and group sessions where topics such as mental health and other social issues will be discussed with experts on the necessary fields to facilitate these engagements, as well as our digital platforms. We also aim to empower. We want to empower young girls through giving them a platform to explore their options and assist them in planning for a bright future through the initiatives of the foundation. And we have socioeconomic initiatives as well as tech initiatives. Now, our mission as Taking Hills, we want to provide a long-term platform and sisterhood of young girls and women that will allow for independent sustainability to fully participate in the opportunities presented in the digital world, more especially with regards to the 4th Industrial Revolution. We as Taking Hills want to create a culture of women empowerment from those impacted within the initiatives carried out by the foundation, because we believe that when you empower women, you empower a nation. We also want to create a culture of giving back to the community, skills transferring, and knowledge sharing to help in empowering of the girl child. And this, I like this particular quote, says that one of the biggest barriers girls face is having a lack of women in tech to look up to. And that's not because they don't exist. It's because they aren't getting the attention they deserve in the news, in schools, and in pop culture. So it's very important for us as Tech in Heels to ensure that we are actually able to bridge that particular gap, to have tech role models, to have women who are in industry who can actually help young girls and also women who are already in industry, because I always tell those who we help in our initiatives that it's never too late to start. If you feel that you're interested in something, especially in the tech industry, you have that opportunity to actually learn. So it's never too late to start. It's never too late to want to be part of impacting change, and it's never too late to actually help others to get to the success that you have also achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, Lerato. Sorry, Notando. I think you talked a lot about being a role model, and you seem like you'd be a really great role model to young women. So because we're a little bit short on time, I'll keep my question short, and then I'll take some questions from the chat. Because you're three different ladies from three completely different walks of life, yet you all touched on mentorship. And I love that, because the other day a friend of mine spoke about how we're always motivating women, but we never provide them with the tools to succeed. Outside of mentorship and outside of funding and education, what other tools do you think women need to build their confidence and get the courage to challenge the status quo? So I think all three of you could answer that question briefly. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think briefly, some of the key things that has been important for me is first and foremost is just doing the work of getting to know who you are, which is even before the tools. And so it's not so much that the tools won't help, it's that there are a lot of different things that are coming together to sort of create this or push you into a direction that you want to go. And I think when you are in clear awareness of who you are as a person and doing that work, and what I mean by doing that work is spending some time alone in your own company, ideally in silence, and just listening to what it is that comes up for you and where the discomfort lies and what you sort of are uncomfortable with about yourself, and then just having the courage to lean into some of those discomforts and unpack and uncover who is this person and what are some of the things that have made you who you are. Where does it still hurt, which is really hard, but it's like, what are some of the traumas and baggage that you continue to hold on to, and what are you needing to work through and heal? And then where the possibility is there and whatever resources are available to do that work, whether it's coaching, whether it's the intervention that's really appropriate for you is mentorship, or it's therapy, or it's then those actually start to have a far more significant impact in terms of how they help craft this. Because confidence really it's about inner work. It's about, why do I not feel that I'm enough? Or why do I show up in spaces feeling like I don't belong? And those are really like quite deep conditioned things that require that level of work, alone with interventions that are available. And then just use the tools that are available, try new courses, speak to different people, surround yourself with people who are different from you, and be curious. Just ask a lot of questions. When you don't understand something, just ask and be curious, is what I would say.
you. So from the audience, we have a couple of questions. Charity wanted to know how Prof. Ndlovu decided to focus on academics instead of working in industry, just to paraphrase her question. Yeah.
Yes, I saw the question, and I was really pleasantly surprised because he said that she remembers me saying it in one of my lectures. So I assume that she said in one of my lectures. So that's really pleasantly surprising. I think, yeah, I did work in industry after I finished my education for some time. But the reason why I left industry is really simple. It's not a very big story. It was for medical reasons. So that was it. I had some medical challenges, especially working in the mining industry, because it's full of a lot of, during those days, but now, of course, it has improved a bit. It had a lot of environmental pollution and stuff like that. And I had a medical condition that didn't allow that. So I had to move and do something that was related to what I studied for, and I ended up in academia, which I think probably that's where I was supposed to be in the first place, because I really like it there. So that is really my story. And if I might also maybe add to what I think Lerato was saying in terms of what are other things that women should be thinking about. Yeah, one of those things is obviously there's a confidence. It's a confidence issue. And I think it's one of the things probably I could have shared, because I also did have a bit of problems with confidence. You know, that inner fear, the fear that you are not good enough. And sometimes I think it is perpetuated by the people around you that do a lot of things, and the attitude that they put across that makes you think that you're not good enough. You are questioned over things that, you know, that are really simple and straightforward. The decisions that you are making, that would not be questioned if it was a man, but because you're a woman, you are questioned a lot, and you have to explain a lot about the decision that you have made. And that ends up making you feel that maybe you're not good enough, and maybe you are not doing well enough. But if it was a man, they probably wouldn't be facing the same questions. So for me, I think, you know, having that inner conviction to say that the decision that you're making is good enough and you are good enough, overcoming that inner fear, you know, and saying to yourself, you can do it and you're good enough to, you know, you can achieve what you set out to achieve. So I think for me, yeah, it's one of those things that women should overcome, because society makes us feel like we are not where we are supposed to be. But, you know, yeah.
That's true.
And
okay,
just to add last thing, sorry, you know, we're also talking. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. We're talking about this thing that we have a Women's Month, where we talk about women's issues. But sometimes some of these issues are perpetuated by the society around us, and probably some of them by men that are around us. Why don't we also have a Men's Month, where they can also learn about you know, about changing, you know, their way, the attitude towards women? I mean, we're talking about the challenges that are facing women, but I mean, yesterday we received a message that there was a student at first who was killed by a boyfriend. And this is all about men. No one is talking about it, you know, and men are not talking about these things. It's only about women. So why don't we also have a Men's Month where they talk about these things and also learn to change their mindset, you know, how they treat women in our society?
Yeah, that's true. I think it starts from like when we're really young, we're conditioned that men are better. Like the boy child in the household is treated better than the girl child. Desmond, you have your hand raised.
Yes, Prof, challenge accepted. And that is why in this meeting you have so many men around. We have also started what we call the men's conference. So it has been happening. We started pioneering it at the university residences. And so very soon we should take it to this postgraduate forum. So yeah, challenge accepted, and I agree.
Thank you, Desmond.
Thank you. Okay, this question was for Notando. Snake Google wants to know, how can a person get started? Okay, let me just read it out. What advice would Nothando give to a young person who's working and would like to cross over into tech, and how can that person get started?
Okay. For me, the best advice that I could give in terms of that is that you as the individual need to start. I don't believe in starting from scratch. For example, if somebody is already in finance and they want to find themselves in tech, so I always say that look at how you can incorporate what you do in tech. For example, that's why there's fintech now, using finance and technology to actually bring about different changes and adhering to certain needs. So I would say that don't start over and want to now go get a degree and start from scratch, but look at the current stream or the current area that you are in, and actually seeing how technology can propel you, how you can use your current knowledge and how you can couple it with technology to actually help you further. So that's the best advice I can give. And also, Google is our friend. I mean, you can just search and see what careers, if for example, you are in agriculture and you want to find yourself in technology, simply Google agriculture and technology and see what actually comes up. And I think from there, then you can be able to see that, okay, if this is what I want to find myself doing, then you can actually start seeing, okay, what skills do I like? If it's coding, do I really need to be coding? Or do I need to be coding in this particular language? Or do I need to actually be finding myself in AI? So that's how the best advice I can give you is to just research, see how you can use your current skills and couple them with technology, because right now we in that age where literally if we plug technology into something, it becomes something revolutionary. So you'll find that you can actually transition much easier than to just start from scratch.
Thank you, Nothando. I don't know if our audience has any more questions for our panel members. Okay. Just from my side, thank you. That was very informative from all three of you.
Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on the panel. Really honored.